So Bikesafe is a police-run motorcycle rider education course. Costs about 65 quid. You can sign up online, just go and search for it. I signed up about a month ago and had my ride out with a police rider yesterday, Sunday, and met at Leatherhead. So this is a police building in Leatherhead. There was a briefing. Actually, there's some online work that you do. I'll tell you more about that as we go through this, okay? But there's some online work, and then you have a briefing, and then you go out with a police rider, and the rider's on a marked bike, and normally it's kind of 2 trainees to 1 rider. I think it might go up to 4 trainees. As it was, a couple of folks didn't turn up, so there was 3 groups of us. There was myself, another trainee called Andrew, and a police rider called Ian. Now, if you don't know this neck of the woods, if you do, then you know, you probably know this like the back of your hand. This is on the way to Boxhill. You will have been down this 100 times. And so what happens is you go out with the rider, and then you swap around. So as it was, I was leading out, and then I had the instructor Ian behind me, and then behind him was Andrew, the other trainee. And there's no comms, so what you do is you ride for 10-15 minutes, and then you'll stop and you'll have like a little debrief, and he'll give you some ideas about things to do, things not to do. So I did that, stopped at that roundabout just outside south of Dorking, and then it was swap over time, so it was Andrew's turn to go. The weather was gorgeous. The weather was absolutely gorgeous. So I was on my GSA. Andrew had one of those K1250 RTs, and the police rider was on, I want to say, a K1200. And if you've ever ridden with me, you know that I'm Mr. Slow. Like, I just don't. I'm not there for the speed, but everybody else seemed to be kind of progressing with vigour. So Andrew, if you're watching this, that bike of yours was an half shift kind of coming round here. Like, I'd never normally go as fast as that. That's that big sweeping curve as you come out heading down towards Homewood. Now, I'm not going to tell you kind of what happens in this course, but as you can see, the police bike really exaggerates their position on the road, and I thought that they were exaggerating it. I thought he was absolutely exaggerating it, but he doesn't. And one of the big things about the course is to use the full width of the road, particularly in corners. So if you're turning, if you're taking a right corner, you would position yourself on the far left of the road, and if you were taking a left corner, you would position yourself on the far right of the road. As you go through these videos, just watch what he does, because he really gets like right into the left hand side of the road, and almost in the ironworks. And I said, do you ever have any problems like hitting the ironworks? And he said, no, it doesn't impact him. I just have a feeling that on some of the crap roads around here that'd be different. So anyway, went down and then turned off, kind of going towards Stain Street and Ockley way. Again, we're fair moving along. And then we came up to some horses. And the other thing about the course is how to deal with, what I'm trying to think what it is. It's corners, hazards, junctions, overtaking and filtering. And you sign up, you get a link to some online training videos, and each of the videos is about 10 minutes long, and it goes through these junctions and hazards, overtaking, and it uses this roadcraft mantra. And roadcraft's been around for ages. I can remember even as a kid they had roadcraft, which is not only motorbikes but it's cars as well. It's the way that the police drive and encourage you to drive, and I think if you do advanced motorists, that's what they advise you to do as well. And as well as the positioning on the road, they also talk about looking up and looking far away. Don't just look at the bike in front, look around that, and use trees and hedges and the line of the road to predict what's going to happen to the road. Really interesting stuff. Yeah, so anyway, signed up, 65 quid, which is an absolute bargain, and there's about 10 videos that you go through, and the videos are okay, and then you have an online learning session with a couple of the riders where they take you through what you've learned in the video, and then you rock up at a local police station, and in Surrey it was Leatherhead, and I think it was Guildford, and you go for this 3-hour ride with a marked bike, and they're not hanging around. Like I was amazed at this, and you watch till the end, right? Because at the end, Ian, who's on the marked bike, he leads off round the back of Boxhill, and he was going very briskly. So then we pulled into, I think this is Ockley where we pulled in, I can't remember, and again we had a little bit of a debrief. This looks like Stain Street, doesn't it? And then we had a little bit of a debrief, and then it was my turn to lead off. Weather was perfect. I love this kind of weather. On the extreme left as you go into a right hand bend, and my normal inclination would be to move to the left or the right, but not as far as the police bike did. And one of the other comments that he had for me was around being more consistent with speed as I was going round corners, and I think that was where I was looking for some feedback and some comment, was because, you know, my cornering could be better. I do kind of I'm not very consistent when it comes down to cornering, and I tend to brake late and change gear, and it all becomes a bit of a mess. And look, right in on the left hand side, way further than I would ever be. So that was good. It was a good bit of information. So then we went through here, and then went through Homebury, and then ended up at Newlands Corner, and then from Newlands Corner we went to Leatherhead. But I think what we do here is we go around the back of Boxhill. I think it cuts in a second and we go around the back of Boxhill. And then after this, they encourage you to go and do advanced motorcycle riding course, and you can do that with Rospa, or you can do it with, again, Institute of Advanced Motorists, and I think there's another one, BMF, British Motorcycle Federation. But I'm going to look into that. And I think what it is it's that learning thing, that constant learning thing. I've had my bike license now for 25 years, but I've only properly been riding again for the past 5 or 6, and you know, you can always learn more. So this is round the back of Boxhill. So, you know, if you go to Boxhill, you can take that first turn off that takes you up on the zigzags. If you take the second one, this is the road for the second one. So this must be out towards the back of Ashted and Epsom Way. And Ian was leading on the marked bike, and then it was Andrew on that RT, which was beautiful actually. You know, I do have a little bit of a kind of regret thing, and this was good because over the pedestrians and then cars, I do have a little bit of a regret thing about buying the GSA, which is a fantastic bike, but I do look at those RTs and think, you know, that wouldn't be bad. And a mate of mine, Brian, he's just got one of those GTs, those 1600s. Anyway, this was good, and what you can see here is single track road, and we are all over the road. So, you know, you're encouraged to use the full width of the road to see what's coming along. and yeah, that was really good. And then we came out by the back of Leatherhead. Right, now watch this. So the police bike is leading off. Mr. Slow's at the back. Yeah, see ya. And I know the camera on the side of the bike really exaggerates the lean factor. I would say that's probably the most that my bike has ever lent. And my positioning is all wrong there. So as you go into a right hand one, you're supposed to be on the left. And then as you go into a left hand one, you're supposed to be on the right of the lane. I think that's Tyrrellswood Golf Course on the right hand side. I used to live in Leatherhead, but moved out 20 years ago. More than that, 25 years ago. As you can see, we're fair belting along here. But we were out with the police bike for 3 hours, which in itself is really cool, because you know people tend to get out of your way, and you don't really have a problem with traffic if there's a police bike with you. And this is kind of at the back of Leatherhead, you know, as if you were going to Boxhill, and then you drop down that road there. That would take you to the whatever petrol station it is. And then road closed, yeah, don't worry about that. And then we did some really slow work going round a small private estate in Leatherhead. So that was the Bikesafe course that I've just done, and I did it in Leatherhead. Weather was beautiful, really pleased about that. You know me, I wouldn't fancy doing it in the rain. But really great few hours, learned a lot, and also you get that validation, you know, at the end of it. The guy said, oh, you know, you kind of know what you're doing, you're competent, you're good on the road. And that's just, for someone like me, that means a lot, to know that I'm not, you know, unsafe or a bit of a dick kind of thing. So yeah, really enjoyed it.